Today I'm taking Brittany from one solid color, like you see here, to a beautiful foliage for a brunette, and I used the 3D balayage comb to get it done.
Good afternoon, my fellow stylists, enthusiasts, and friends. Welcome to my channel. If you are new here, thank you for stopping by. I'm Maureen Moody, and I'm the Curious Stylist. And if you're curious and nerding out on hair color is fun for you, you might want to stick around. And to all my returning subscribers, well, you all know we're color geeks here.
Let's get into it. Today I'm going to be working with the 3D balayage comb, and I am doing a brunette foliage. I'm going to be breaking down the products they used, how I use them, and what I'm doing in the technique. So a wise stylist said when you are working with brunettes, it's not just about what you highlight, but it's about what you leave too. And I feel like when we are working with brunettes, we immediately want to highlight them and show them that we have done, the job that they've asked us to do. But what happens sometimes is that we over highlight them. We can sometimes take away from what makes a brunette special, and that is the depth. And so I am going to show you through my pattern how to keep her still brunette, but add that sparkle that she's looking for around the face. So you're going to see in the front hairline that I used the 3D balayage around the first two foils in the front part of the hairline, and then the next foil behind that is a slice with a back comb, and then another 3D balayage weave. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just doing 3 back-to-back foils, and I'm using the balayage comb on the third set to weave. And as you can see, as I am putting the lightener down, I want that lightener to kind of fall somewhere around her eyebrow, so it's not growing straight from the root. And now I'm kind of connecting those foils that are around the hairline to the center part, and I'm back combing that ribbon stitch, as you can see. And we're going to refer back to the chart so you can see what I'm talking about. So as you can see at the chart, where the V is around the hairline, I connected that with that fat ribbon stitch, and I did a low light, and then I'm going to do another slice with the back comb. So that is the placement in that front triangle area. And as you can see, I'm also applying the lightener in a V section because I want to disperse the light. I don't want a hard line or anything that looks like grow out around her face. I want it to look very soft and blended, and by putting that V in that section, it's going to diffuse any hard lines. And as you can see, I'm throwing the low light in. That's the next set for the foil. And I'm going to actually do a little bit of fancy footwork here. I'm back combing with that really nice 3D balayage comb. And I'm going to put a little bit of lightener for a little pizzazz and highlighting without, going too strong. So as I'm working that front triangle for the hair, I'm going to bring, each time I highlight a piece, I'm going to slip the lightener a little bit lower. So I'm going to back comb this section here, and then when I apply the lightener, I'm going to apply it in a lower position. I don't want it at the same exact starting point as the previous section of highlights, because I just want it to kind of gradually fade down and have highlighted pieces around her face, but not starting at the same exact position. It's going to give a little bit more of a diffusion of the light. So here's my last foil that I'm going to be doing in this section. I'm going to be back combing it to diffuse the section again, and I back combed it about 75 to 50% there. And when I apply my lightener, I'm applying it at a lower starting point, as you can see, so that it has that diffusion of color. And we are continuing to just keep her a little bit more brunette. Now I'm going to be So as I'm working on the hairline, I like to work vertically up that hairline. And as you can see, I'm just using my 3D balayage comb and I'm going through the section. As you can see, it weaves it super fine, so I don't have to. And I am back combing at about 25%. And I'm slipping the lightener down so it's not right to the head. I want the highlighted pieces to start around her eyebrow and go lower than that, so it just shimmers around her face. You can refer to this diagram. I just did 2 back-to-back weavy light highlights around the hairline, and I back comb them about 25%. When I'm working around the hairline, I tend to back comb a little bit less, and you can see right there that I am working on the other side of the head. Now I'm going to talk to you too about how I am just using 7 volume because I don't really want high lift going on here. I want her to lift to about a 7 underlying pigment so I can tone her to exactly the color I want, or glaze her is a better word, to the color I want. She brought me a picture of a very beautiful chocolate caramel highlight with a little slight bit of red in it, and I wanted to be able to recreate that look for her. Now, because I am trying to recreate that look, I am going to be low lighting this piece, and I am using Schwarzkopf Vibrance 0-3 with 6 volume, and I'm just applying that low light from roots to ends. This is going to give some continuity to the color because I am going to be taking her root a little bit darker. She wants a level 3 at her root, and so that's a dark brown, and by doing the low lights it helps to match the root with some of the existing hair. So I'm going to the top mohawk section. At this point I'm starting to do large ribbon weaves, and I'm back combing with the 3D balayage comb. The next highlight will be a slice with a back comb, and then there's going to be the low light, which is the dark piece. And as you can see, I'm working at this section right here was a large ribbon weave. The next section is going to be a slice with a back comb, and you're going to see me using the 3D balayage comb here. And what I like about this comb is that when I use it to back comb, as opposed to using my 132 YS Park comb, the reason why I like the 3D balayage comb is that the mat, like when you back comb it, it doesn't mat the hair quite as strong. So it's easier to brush out in the back bar when you are conditioning the hair and removing all the lightener. It is a lot easier to get through and get those tangles out. There's something about using this comb that made it just so much fun, and I really enjoyed doing the highlights and the lowlights. They say it's got an it's ergonomically correct, and I have to agree with them. I really do love the way that this product was designed. It's really a lot of fun to work with. I highly recommend, if you haven't tried this product out yet, I'm going to be leaving it in the description box below. I think you should check it out. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So again, I am using the ribbon weave, and I am applying the lightener, and I am applying it lower again because I want to keep it smudgy and fun at the top, and I am going to be glazing her later, and so that area I want to keep that as dark as I can. So also let's talk about saturation. As you can see, I'm taking the time, but I'm not putting like a ton of product because I know with her hair it's very delicate. And so I need to be treating it with kid gloves when I work with this because it's very easily damaged. And so I'm just really being cautious as I'm working with it. And I'm using my favorite Framar brush. It's a slanted brush. I don't know if they make this brush anymore, but I do know that Amazon has like a knockoff version of it, and I really do like that. I find that when I use that brush for my foliages, they blend so much nicer because I'm not over saturating with product, and it's a lot easier to blend it out. You see me applying that lightener and then feathering it up with the back comb, and that kind of just helps to soften that line of demarcation because it's diffusing it and not having a hard saturation line right there. And I'm now putting, it's really important too when you're doing these brunettes to get your lowlights in. And again, I am using Schwarzkopf 3-0, and I am applying that every third foil, and I'm working in sets of 3. So I'm going around to the other side now, and I am working again with those large ribbon sections. And what I love about those sections is it's going to give those big bright pops of color, especially when you're working with finer hair types. You want to use chunkier sections because if you use those finer sections with finer hair, it's just going to diffuse and you're not going to have that pop of drama. And I am positioning my board in front of her face so that I'm going to use geometry to work with me in being able to, again, give more diffusion. As that highlight falls naturally, it's going to not have any hard lines. And this is the section I am using, and I am back combing that, and I'm doing a pretty deep back comb. I'm doing 75% of the hair, and I did that back comb twice, and I'm applying it. My radius is lower now, and I'm going lower with this section. And as you can see, this is where I'm going to show you how my brush is so nice and it blends it out. Now you could use a regular brush to do that, but what I love about the slanted brush is it really kind of takes all of the extra work out for you. And I find it, I'm not super fast, but this brush does help me to be a little bit faster. I will be leaving a link to this product in the description box below. Move on to the back. So I didn't go super crazy in the back, but as you can see around the hairline, I did the 3D balayage weave. And then of course I did my dark lowlights, my ribbon weaves, and my back comb slices with my lowlights. And I lost the footage for this, but this is basically the pattern that I followed. Now let's talk about the glaze. I am using Schwarzkopf's 3-0 in Vibrance with 6 volume. And I applied that to about 2 inches of her regrowth, and I'm combing it out so that I don't have any hard lines. I'm trying not to comb like too far down, but I am bringing it down a little bit. And I'm going to process that for 20 minutes before I go on to her end shades. I did lift her to between a 6 and a 7 underlying pigment. Now I am using Vibrance 6-6H, which is a chocolate with some red, and 5-16, which is a cendré chocolate. So there's a little bit of ash in the cendré chocolate. And what I wanted is a very controlled chocolate with a little hint of red in it. And I am now, after the 20 minutes of just the 3-0, I am applying the other formula on the hair, and I am working that up, and I'm using 6 volume, and I am going to comb those sections together so that it blends and gives a beautiful, very like soft variant of color that just gets brighter and brighter as we get to the end, but you still get that really beautiful, dramatic dark root that just softly goes down to a beautiful chocolate red caramel. And I am so happy with the way that this came out. Now, part of the reason why I lifted to between a 6 and a 7 is because I knew when I was glazing her, I needed it to get between those two shades so that I could use the glaze to control the underlying pigment. And I'm going to go more into glazes in a future video, but for now, we're just going to be going over what I'm using today. And I really like vibrance when I am doing a beautiful chocolate balayage. The shine on this product cannot be disputed. It is so pretty, and I find that it just tweaks the color perfectly so that you get that beautiful, healthy, vibrant look. Now I am applying this product in 1 to 2 inch sections, and as you can see, I am leaving the front pieces out for last because I really want this to have its strongest impact in the front. And I did actually remember that I put clear in this glaze. So half of the formula is the 5.5-1, the 6-68, and then half of it is clear. And that is to help control the color and help stop it from oversaturating and me possibly losing my highlights. Sometimes darker hair, especially when it's this kind of texture, can overtone and get too dark. And so by adding clear to your formula, you can actually leave these glazes on for the full time without having to worry that it's going to be oversaturated. But especially for this particular look, it's super important that the 3-0 is on her top section and her root for the full 20 minutes because you want that to be really beautiful and dark. So Schwarzkopf has their own YouTube page and they have a lot of information. They also have an Instagram page which they go more in depth with the Vibrance line, and if you are interested in, I would go and check that out. They have a lot of good free education and their line is pretty extensive. I never get bored with this line because there's so much that they offer. So here I'm giving you a sneak peek of sort of what it looks like as I'm blowing it out. And you can see how nice and blended everything is, and how like you don't need to be afraid to use those darker tones, especially when you want somebody wants to be darker. Using a 6 and a 5 together makes a beautiful chocolate low light. And she was really Brittany was really happy with the overall end product, and I just can't wait to show you what the pictures look like in the end. So here's Brittany's before, and she's got a lot of red that we were working to control a little bit. So by putting the dark root and the low lights, it helped to center this color and give it a beautiful caramel appearance. I am in love with this one.